Hello, and welcome to Engage Chesterfield. We're here today with Ginger Daughter from Chesterfield Mental Health Support Services to discuss some ways you can help your child remain socially connected while being socially distanced and keep your sanity at the same time. Thanks, Ginger, for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
So we're being ruled by the rule of 6 feet apart, and we are 6 feet apart. But why is it so important for kids to remain socially connected during this time?
Well, we know that especially right now, with everything being so uncertain and for this situation is so unusual, even though children are physically separated from their friends, it's a really great time for them to be connected socially, because what can happen is they might kind of lose that sense of belonging, and it can increase their stress levels. And as we know, that chronic stress can lead to other situations over time, like anxiety and depression.
I know that, just myself going through this period of time of being socially isolated, I live for the group text with my good friends from college or my work friends. And so thinking about what that is like for kids, certainly. And then it's also kind of the same thing. We talk so much about limit screen time,
Yes.
Keep your kids off of technology. But, what are the guidelines around that now, right? Because it's this screen time is really one of the few ways to do this, but are there other ways, or what do you have to say about that?
So right now, we do say let's loosen the screen time limits a little bit. We're not saying a free-for-all, but typically we would advise to allow young children to have 2 hours or less of recreational screen time a day. And now we're like, well, let's loosen that up a little bit, but it's not really a great idea for them to be using the electronics 8 hours a day, because then that can lead to some other issues. But right now we want to focus on what is healthy, and let's do these things in moderation.
Right. I feel like I'm texting and engaging more digitally than I normally would too. So I guess the right thing is for them to be able to do the same as well. So what are some other ways, though, beyond the digital platforms that we use to help your kids stay connected?
Well, there are a lot of great things going on around here, and I've seen all kinds of things or heard different people talking about strategies they're using. And so recently I heard about families in a cul-de-sac. They went out to the end of their driveway and they do the Pledge of Allegiance together as a neighborhood, each morning at the same time. So that's one way to be connected, and you don't have to be right next to each other to do that. Also, I know that a lot of people are trying to be helpful to others, so they're learning ways of how they can be helpful. So whether it's an older person in the neighborhood that might need someone to help them get groceries or to do some outside chores, things like that, that's another way of staying connected and also finding your own sense of purpose. And we know that children really do love engaging with their peers, and so any way we can help them do that in a creative way is great. And some examples of that would be, some girls the other day were having a fashion show by FaceTime, and they were doing that together, but still with their distance, with their safe distance. And also, some other folks have been doing these really creative scavenger hunts, like in their neighborhood. So it could be something with a theme, like look for the teddy bears. So it could be someone has a teddy bear in their window and someone has it on their sidewalk or porch, etc. And then sometimes it can just be a little more creative without a theme.
I know I have a good friend of mine who has high school boys, and they were talking about, kind of really upset that they hadn't been able to see their friends. And so she talked to the other kid's mom, and they arranged for them to spend some time together, and it was doing the neighbor's yard. And the only rule was they could do it, but they couldn't speak to, they couldn't get within each other. So they were able to do something, kind of work off some energy, but then really help, an elderly neighbor that needed something, so it was kind of a little bit of both,
Right.
And I think that they worked so hard that day, they were not complaining about getting to be connected with their friends for a while. Is there any place I can go for more information?
Yes, you can contact prevention services. A person can contact prevention services to get more information.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today on Engage Chesterfield, and thanks so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.